All right. Well, thanks, Don. I'm so glad that you're here to talk with us this
Me
lovely
too.
November day.
Thanks for having me. This is
Yeah.
exciting.
Where are you from right now? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm coming to you live from my garage in, well, we just made a little studio in our garage actually in North Carolina. I'm in Chapel Hill. Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful place. So just recently, the Fraser put on display Tori Murden-McClure's boat, the one that is known as the American Pearl.
Mhm.
And it's incredible. It's right outside my office. It's a beautiful boat. And it's a big part of our exhibit about cool Kentucky. And right about the time that it came in our door, you were making waves of your own when there was news all over. I was reading about it all over the place. Your new album, which is a musical, inspired by Tori's story. So, how did you first learn about Tori and her story?
Yeah. Wow. It's been a long process. I grew up in Louisville and I remember reading about Tori in the Courier Journal. And I think it was 1998 was her first attempt. And I remember hearing about that and then I think some sort of seed was planted. And then when I went to college in New York the next year, I joined the crew team, never having rowed in my life. Probably because in the back of my mind I had thought, well, gosh, a woman from Louisville, I'm nearly rowed across the Atlantic. Maybe I can try to do something. And but anyway, I joined the crew team, and I was in New York when she made her successful crossing in 1999, and then 10 years later, a friend of mine from Ballard High School in Louisville, my best friend Danica, passed me Tori's memoir, and I read it, and it was so just, I mean, it was just fate. I think that I ran into a Broadway director friend. We hadn't seen each other in years, and he said, "Hey, do you want to write a musical?" And I said, "Wow, I've never thought about that." Like, he was a fan of my music, but he said, "What would you want to write about?" And I said, "Well, I just read this amazing memoir. Could we make this into a musical?" And so there we go. 10 years late, almost, well, 7.5 years later, here we are. And yeah.
Yeah, well, just recently I watched the TED Talk that you did. So that was back in 2015. So obviously, like there was a lot of stuff that had you had already created, and it was very well formulated at that point in time. How
Yeah.
quickly did things start to come together for you?
Well, let's see. I mean, I didn't realize that, I'm a singer songwriter, as are you, and you make albums and we tour, and, the cycle is pretty quick. It's like every 2 or 3 years you make a new thing and you go out there. But with musicals, it's a much longer road. So when I first met with my collaborator, Danny Goldstein, who wrote the book, and if you're not familiar, the book is the dialogue, the character, where the scenes are, what the characters are saying to each other in between the songs, like what's happening. And because we adapted Tori's memoir, A Pearl in the Storm, for the stage, that's really Danny's department. He did all of that stuff. And uh, yeah, so we got a commission from a theater in New York called the Public Theater, where Hamilton started. Yeah, I got to go to the premiere of Hamilton at Off Broadway, which was
No
incredible because
way.
of this project. Because of this project,
Wow,
incredible.
that's that in and of itself.
I got Sweat On by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It was amazing. Um, so thank you, Tori, for that. She probably doesn't know that. She had something to do with that. But yeah, so we got a commission from the public. It took us a year to write the first draft. And then that was in 2015 when it seemed all the stars were aligning. I got asked to do this TED Talk, um, and I did 4 performances as a concert version of the show where I sang the parts of Tori and I led the band, and then there was a group of actors doing the dialogue. And then, it just continues to change, and theaters get interested and they invest some money, and you do a workshop, and then everybody has notes. It's kind of like, I've never made a movie, but I imagine it's sort of like that. There's so many brains in the mix, and there's money, and it's just expensive, and so it's a completely different beast than just making a regular album. So
So, what about Tori? Did you have any trouble convincing her that this was a good idea?
Well, Danny had never been to Louisville. He's an East Coaster, and I had a show in Louisville at Headliners. I was opening for a band called Hem that I played with. I don't remember. I must have been 2014.
I
And
opened for him in 2011, probably.
I,
No,
I was probably playing in that configuration. Yeah, they're a great band. But so Danny flew down. I had a gig. We got a meeting with Tori, and I had written two songs at that point, and he had done up sort of an outline. And through a friend of a friend, we got a meeting. I think maybe Brandon Cohn knew Mac, Tori's husband, or something, and got us a meeting. And we were both super nervous. And I brought my guitar into her office and sang her two songs, and she said, "Okay, you have my permission. Sounds like a great idea. Good luck."
that.
You know. So and then we were off, and that was sort of 7+ years ago.
That's awesome. That's a great story. So I mean, it's easy to understand why you would connect with her story in such a profound way, but it's another thing entirely to create something so artistic and so bold and big out of someone else's story. Like what was that? What got you to that point in the first place? When did you first realize that you could do that?
It's so funny because I think our route has been a little unconventional anyway, just because we first got this commission from a music venue and theater, but more on the music side. And this show has yet to be on stage. It was supposed to premiere this summer at Williamstown Music Festival, or I'm sorry, Williamstown Theater Festival, which is a great prestigious incubator for new theater in Western Massachusetts. And of course, the coronavirus derailed that. But now we're going to have it on Audible, and that's going to be incredible. And so anyone anywhere can hear it as an audio book, which is like it'll be like the full like 2 hour version, with the songs and the dialogue all put together and everything. So we just finished recording that last week in New York, and I was zooming in, which was crazy. What a weird experience, but all the actors were there, and our music director was there, our director was there, all in masks. It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
So the people that are doing the book reading for Audible, those are different people from who someone would hear on the album that you just released, correct?
Yes, yes. So for the album, that was always going to be sort of a separate thing because I knew I recorded the album last year, no hoping that I would release it when the Williamstown production happened. And knowing full well that by the time the Williamstown production happened, there would probably be different songs, maybe different characters would be singing different songs because that's just how it works in music theater. Sometimes you're like, that song doesn't work there, let's put it there, or let's have that person sing that song, or it just kind of always is evolving. So I knew that was going to happen anyway, but I really wanted to have the album with a cast of Louisville singers because it's such a Louisville story for me, and I still have such a strong connection to Louisville, even though I
Yeah,
haven't lived for a while. So yeah, I just enlisted everybody that I love from Louisville to join in, and it was really
that's
fun album.
that's one of the things I wanted to bring up with you because I think a lot of the people that are going to see this are Louisville residents, and many of them are supporters of the arts in town, and they're going to recognize a lot of names from the liner notes of the record. Can you tell us about some of the people that are on there?
Yeah. Well, in the show itself, there are 10 characters. Tori, obviously, is the main character, and I'm singing the part of Tori on the album. On the stage version and in the audible version, there will be like a Broadway actress who does all that, and really fine, incredible Broadway singers and actors. But the album has a kind of different feel. Um, and I love it's the Kentucky feel. I just love the way that Kentuckians sing. So Will Oldham is playing Mac McClure, Tori's husband, and Tyrone Cotton is playing Muhammad Ali. And if you're not that familiar with Tori's story, Muhammad Ali, she worked for him and helped build the Muhammad Ali Center, and he helped encourage her to try again. So he played a big role in her life. And Rachel Grimes, we got Bridget Kalin, Carly Johnson, Cheryl Rouse, Ben Lee, um, Kim Cantwell, who else? Scott Moore did the string arrangements. Rhodey played pedal steel.
Yeah,
Just
I
called
thought it
everybody
was
and said,
Rhodey on
"Come
there.
on,
I
let's."
wasn't sure today. I was like, that sounds like Rhodey to me. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's great to see all those names and hear them in such a different arena. I mean, it's probably unlike what a lot of those musicians have done otherwise. So it's cool that you created that opportunity for them. Um, so Is there, this is a pretty big question, but I mean, Tori did a lot. She did some amazing stuff, including the both attempts, the ultimately successful attempt on the boat. We also have some other objects from her. We actually have the outfit that she wore when she skied Antarctica. And she's done some
Oh,
remarkable things, right? So is there something in particular, or a handful of things in particular, probably, that come from Tori's life that you really resonated with and maybe took as your own, some way that her story spoke to you?
oh yeah. I mean, I think, well, the song, I'm going to sing you a song in a little bit, and it actually lists a lot of her accomplishments. So I don't want to give those away, but um, she's such an accomplished person, and her drive to her kind of, it's funny because one of her corporate sponsors was Sector Sport Watches. I'm sure it's on the side of the boat. And I have some Sector gear she gave to me, which is fun, like a hat and, sweatshirt. But they're an Italian sports watch company, but their slogan was "No limits," and I think that's kind of what resonates with me with her story. Is she really does not see limits in life. Like there's nothing that is impossible. Muhammad Ali has a great speech about impossibility. Like nothing is impossible. Is I don't remember. I'm gonna badger it, but basically the idea is impossible doesn't exist. And I think she really thinks that and lives like that, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, so not sort of to that point, when we had to get the boat in the museum, it's huge, right? And
Yeah,
we only
it's
have,
23 feet long and 6 feet wide.
if anyone knew, I knew it would be you. But we didn't have like a point of entry for the building. It wouldn't come up the freight elevator, so it was this big like conundrum of how do we get it. And there's a door at the front that used to be a door, and they reopened the door, but it was still a super tight fit. And the exhibits department called like two different moving, like really like high level moving firms to like figure it out. And ultimately, Tori was like, "No, I'll figure it out." And she did, with like a quarter of an inch to spare, like got it in. It was amazing.
That's
There's
great.
a crowd of people standing around watching, just like scratching their heads. It was incredible.
That's what I'm talking about. See?
Yeah,
No
no
limits.
limits.
No, architecturally or otherwise, it's like gonna happen.
Yeah, amazing. So before we hear this song, I want to ask you two more questions. One serious. Tori, one of her famous quotes is, "We all have oceans to cross." That seems like a guiding mantra for her. Um, what's your ocean? You have an ocean to cross?
Oh, there's so many oceans. That's a really good question. I mean, honestly, like there are personal, anytime you experience disappointment, I feel like that's what really resonated with me with her story at the beginning because, I mean, she had a first very public, unsuccessful attempt. It was a public failure of sorts. I mean, she didn't die, thank God, and the boat survived. So it wasn't a total failure, but like she didn't accomplish her goal, and it was very public. And that experience of what I can only imagine to be extreme shame and humiliation, I think everyone has felt that at some point in their life for whatever reason, be it personal or professional. And to get over that, to get over yourself and to like pick up the pieces and do it again. And it's just great. Like I think everybody can identify with that really. So
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so before we hear the song, which I'm eager to, because I've listened to the record several times. It's fantastic.
oh, thank
Congratulations on such an achievement, really,
you.
and I hope it has legs far beyond. But
Legs.
so
There's so many water metaphors, by the way. I think I've used them all. You can't get around it. It's just, anyway,
you're
go
in it.
ahead.
That's where you are now. But if people want to support your art, they want to find out more. Where can they go that will be supportive of what you're doing?
Oh, thanks. Well, let's see here. I happen to have a copy. This is the album.
Yes.
Yes, it's called Row, and the musical is also called Row. So if you want to hear the songs, you can check them out on any of your digital streaming services. I think they're in a handful of record stores. You can get a copy of it on Amazon or wherever. And then if you want to hear the theatrical piece, that's supposed to come out early next year. I'm guessing probably February or March because we've got a lot of editing to do, but I'd look for it to come out pretty soon. So yeah, just
Well,
and also check out Tori's book if you haven't read A Pearl in the Storm. Have you read it? I mean, it's just an incredible memoir. It's got everything. It's a
it's
love story too, on top of everything else. She falls in love, which is crazy.
it is. It's truly remarkable. And when the Audible version comes out, make sure that we know so we'll promote that too. We'll make sure
Oh,
that
thanks.
yeah.
Great.
And then when things are normal again, come hang out at the Fraser. Maybe we'll do
I would
a
love to.
program.
And my dream is someday it'll come to Louisville. That's the idea, is hopefully someday it will be in some sort of traveling configuration and be in theaters, in regional theaters. That's the idea. So
Well,
hopefully
we'll
we can
have
do that.
an eager audience here, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, would you do us the honor and sing us a song?
Yes, sorry. Okay, so this is a song. So you were talking earlier about how you have what was it, her South Pole skis, or the skis she used to ski to the South Pole?
Actually, the shell outfit.
Okay, the outfit. Okay. Yeah, so
There are skis.
yeah, if you're not familiar with Tori, she rode across the ocean. She was first woman to the South Pole. She's scaled many mountains. I think she was on the board of NOLS for a very long time, maybe even still the National Outdoor Leadership Society. So she's quite the adventurer and explorer of sorts. And there's a moment in the show where she's rowing across the ocean and she's reflecting back on her previous escapades, and she's thinking about when she got her Master's of Divinity from Harvard, and her thesis was called The Theology of Adventure, all about adventuring. And so I turned that into a song, and it goes like this. And in the setting, imagine she's actually defending her thesis to a room full of people in suits. That's what you can imagine in your mind. And everything is true. Every single thing is true in the song. I've been to Timbuktu, scaled mountains in the rain. 100 miles I walked the Serengeti plain. I sat with tribal healers and I learned my spirit name. High in the mountains of the Great Alaska Range, I felt a sense of awe, coming of age. I learned to mountaineer across Mount McKinley's glacial face. Some would say I'm lacking sense. In my defense, the unexamined life is not worth living. In my defense, to learn about survival and forgiving, I turn to the wilderness. In my defense, as you already know, I had to take my leave to join a South Pole expedition where I skied 750 miles and minus 40 degrees. The sheer audacity of this might make you smile. Harvard Divinity Field study in the wild. You can't fly a feather bed down wisdom's lonely aisle. Hard lessons learned as recompense. In my defense, the unexamined life is not worth living. In my defense, the quest for meaning might be never ending. I've known failure and success. It's so much sweeter on the summit as a shared experience. Out on the streets or in the wild, life is perilous. There's not much you can rely on, so try to keep your eye on my defense.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And congrats again. Like such a incredible accomplishment and so many more good things to come with it, I'm sure.
Thank you. And everybody, please go see her boat. It's just to see it in person and think about it in the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. It's mind blowing. It's
That
really
was
amazing.
it. That was her home. That was her life. It was just
Yep.
that boat
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
80 something days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah. Wild.
Well, thank you very much. We hope to talk to you soon. See you in person someday, Dawn.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you, Meg.
All right. Take care, friend.